guys, Scrub King here. So I wanted to bring you guys a little bit of a tutorial on how to play Rush Duels. So obviously if you look at the backing, it looks very similar to OCG, TCG carding, but of course the game's a little bit different. So I think the best way to start, at least diving into how to play Rush Duels, is to talk about the difference between the playmat of OCG TCG versus Rush Duels. So this is a typical TCG playmat, at least as of Master of 5. So you have your 5 monster zones, your 2 extra monster zones, your 5 spell and trap zones, obviously with the pendulum zones in the corners, your main deck, graveyard, extra deck, and field zone. The only main difference for Rush Duels is that you only have 3 available spell and trap zones and 3 available monster zones. On top of that, there are no extra monster zones. So all you have is this space here. There is still an area for the extra deck, even though there has not been officially an extra deck monster released in Rush Duel yet. There's still a field zone. There's actually 1 field card available, which you'll probably see in the example I'm going to show you. There's obviously main deck and graveyard. So we understand basically the major difference from the field zone of the original card game is not much, a couple zones here blocked. But of course, as many of you already know, the aesthetic of the cards are different. So this is really a TCG or OCG version, whatever you want to call it, version of the YuGiOh card game. So very different than obviously the Rush Duel card. So let's bring out, let's say this card, for example. The major difference is you'll find, at least for me, you'll find that the image looks a little bit bigger. The starring is a little bit more ergonomically setted into a different part of the card, so it's a little different. And just much more visually appealing on the Rush version than on the TCG version. It's a lot more complicated. And it's because the Rush Duel card game in general is just more simplified and easier to play than the actual TCG OCG version, because it's a lot more complicated and things. So I just want to talk to you guys a little bit on how to play. So I have a quick little opening hand here of not much. So the major rule of Rush Duel that you'll have to know is you can summon as many times as you want. So it's pretty crazy compared to Yu-Gi-Oh! So you can normal summon once, normal summon again, and normal summon again. And it's no difference. I mean, it doesn't matter. So you can normal summon as many times as you want. Obviously, for levels 5 through 6, you will have to tribute at least 1 monster. Prima is a level 7, so you can go ahead and tribute these 2 monsters and send them to the graveyard or the GY, whatever you want to call it, to tribute summon her. So you can summon as many times as you want. Also, the key thing in Rush Duels is you have to remember there is a draw phase, there is no standby phase. It will go automatically to the main phase 1. Then it will go to the battle phase, of course, so that's no different than TCG, OCG. And then after the battle phase is automatically the end phase. So if you've played speed duels in the TCG, that's how it works now. Very similar to Rush Duel rulings as well. So it goes draw phase, main phase, battle phase, and end phase. There's no main phase 1, main phase 2, or anything like that. So if you want to set a spell or trap like this one, you'll set it, enter battle, attack, and then it'll be your end phase after that. So do not forget that because it's very complicated and you'll kind of misplay a little bit. So in this case, let's say we're going second here. We have a really good level 4 monster, Prima. We can activate Prima's effect, paying 1,000, increase all our monsters by 300 for each monster your opponent controls. And we can activate Piercing to give Prima some Piercing too. So there's a lot of good little plays in this hand. So let's go ahead and say we're going second. We activate Piercing, we do a lot of damage. Okay, so now we have no cards in hand. We're pretty screwed if they get over this monsters, right? Not necessarily. So in Rush Duels, because you can just vomit out your hand with multiple summons, they allow that at the start of the draw phase, you can draw up till you have 5 cards in your hand. So it basically incentivizes you, and that's kind of the name of Rush Duel, incentivizes you to rush while you're playing, vomit your hand, and make sure you have nothing in your hand so you could draw the maximum amount. Let's say we didn't summon that much and we had 3 cards in our hand, then we're only going to draw 2 cards, so it's kind of blows. So let's say we do this, do a lot of damage, and then it's our turn. We'll go ahead and draw 5 more extra cards. It's pretty crazy. If that came to the TCG, that's, Pot of Greed's banned. Imagine Pot of Greed on crack. So we have 5 new cards in our hand, along with the graveyard cards, the deck, and obviously the 2 monsters we have on field. Of course, this is the one and only Mountain. It is the only field spell currently in the Rush Duel format. And obviously, as I mentioned in the playmat layout, the field spells go all the way over here in the corner. It's kind of off camera, but anyway. So these cards are pretty broken. So obviously there's a normal monster and then there's effect monsters. That's no different than TCG. We could do this, pay 500, grab back the other Kreebot that's in our graveyard using Kreebot's effect. Go ahead and like tribute over for these 2. Do that. This guy's broken too. Then you go ahead and like normal summon. Kreebot activates effect again, grabbing back this dude and like do multiple things. Set this. It's just crazy. So now we have like big beaters. People pay 1,000 again. There's just so many multiple things you could do. Like Rush Duel is actually pretty cool because you can just do like so many different plays and everything. As I mentioned in the playmat tutorial a little bit, there is no extra deck monsters yet in Rush Duel. I'm interested to see how that's going to work because that's just going to make this game pretty crazy. I like so far where the game is not really broken. Besides Kreebot, this card is broken. But besides that, you know, the game's not like busted, so I think it's pretty safe. Another little, you know, fun fact. So the dimensions of the Rush Duel cards are the same, technically, of the TCG, OCG cards, so they overlay. So the sleeves that you'll pick are all the same. Currently, 1500 is the highest attack for level 4. So this card is actually really good. And then, you know, have some fun with it. You know, ultimately, it's really just a more relaxed version of the TCG OCG. If you just want to have some fun, play this with your boyfriend or girlfriend, and just, you know, see what goes on with that. But yeah, I just want to give you guys a quick little run through of what Rush Duels is and a couple of the rulings and everything. Like vomit your hand, draw 5 each draw phase. You can only set 3 monsters or summon 3 monsters, 3 speller traps. You can summon as many times as you want. Currently no extra deck monster, but you know, hopefully that will be soon to change. Probably like a fusion monster. Let's see how that goes. And you know, more importantly, and that's the biggest one, that there is no main phase 2. There is no standby phase. So draw phase, main phase, battle phase, end phase. That's it. So if you need to set some cards, you gotta do it before the battle phase. You have no idea how many times I misplayed because of that. But all right, guys, just wanted to bring you guys a couple little tutorial here, and let me know if you guys are interested in more Rush Duel content. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.